And so I am really excited to be here and a part of the Creative Voices for Authors Networking Mixer. It's an honor, and LaToya, I thank you for inviting me. Just quickly, I am Kimmoly LaBoo. I am your Christian divorce coach. I support women of faith who are experiencing divorce, helping to bring clarity and focus to their next steps. I am a published author, a professional speaker, certified life coach, and a book writing coach as well. So that's a little bit about me. Now go over what I already stated in the last part because many of you weren't there because I was somewhere else. I'm not sure where that video is, but it's somewhere. But my ideal scenery for writing is at my desk. Great, thank you, LaToya. So ideal writing place is at my desk, right in my office here in my house, my desk, because I have an ergo keyboard that feels really comfortable to me when I'm writing, so that's where I like to write. However, I often go to the beach to reflect, to think, to have clarity of thought, and just to be able to think about what I want to write. So I take notes and everything and gain perspective, and then I come back to my home, and that is where I often write. What I'm working on right now, I am working on the launch of another aspect of my business. However, I can't say much about it right here because the launch is on March the 1st. So if you're interested, it's something for writers and aspiring writers. So if you're interested in that, you have to connect with me on my personal page because that's where the reveal will happen on March 1st. And that's something that I'm super, super excited about and super, super excited to share with my Facebook family. So that's going to be awesome on March the 1st. I also have 2 novels that I've been working on that kind of got pushed to the back burner when I was working on my latest release, which is A Threefold Cord Broken, What Happens When Christian Marriages Fail, which is what you guys probably saw posted in the events page and on my flyer. So I will talk a little bit about that. What fuels me as an author to continue to write is wanting to free people from pain, hoping to offer another perspective surrounding tough topics. So right now, we're all called to something, and everybody's not called to the same thing. So I often write about those things that tug at my heart because those are often the things that are called to us. And so right now for me, that is the divorced woman, supporting women through divorce, which is what led to the release of the book, A Threefold Cord Broken, What Happens When Christian Marriages Fail. And feel free to ask questions as I'm going through this as well, guys. But so that's what fuels me to keep writing because there's so much going on in society today that, I don't think is addressed adequately, and I can only do my part, and so my part right now is supporting women who are going through the struggle of divorce. Do you create your own cover? How do you come up with the concepts? I do not come up with my own covers because I'm not a graphic artist, and what I've learned over the years through publishing work is that graphic artists have a very special gift. So I often, God will drop something in my spirit about what it's supposed to look like. And I'll literally say, like for my first book, The Passion in My Soul, I told the graphic artist, I see a woman sitting at a desk by a window. She's in thought. She has her laptop, something like that. And that's all I gave them. And my cover was birthed from that. For the book right before Threefold Cord Broken, you can see it here, it's called Principles of the Ultimate Business Diva. I said, I see a pair of heels on the book, something like a briefcase. She might be sitting in a park. I don't know. That's what I gave the graphic artist. And this was what she gave me back. And I love this cover. And this book did really well. So I had another graphic artist, and I have, my books are here, but this was the one, Behind My Mother's Back. This was the first teen novel that I wrote. And for this, I said, it was a woman. I wanted it to depict the fact that they thought they were doing something behind her back. And this was the photo shoot that she did for this. And the graphic artist actually took these pictures, and, she knew this woman and she knew this guy and girl, and they took the pictures for my book, and it came out really well. What inspired me to write? In the beginning, what inspired me to write was, let's see, some recommendations for graphics. Yes, Latoya, I'll let you know about that. But what inspired me to write? I was never a writer. I never wrote when I was young. I never, did anything like some writers, they said, I've been writing since I was a child. That wasn't me. I wrote out of my pain. So my first book, called The Passion in My Soul, was just that. It was an outpouring of what was going on with me then. And I was going through this healing process after a bad marriage. And I remember I wrote a poem for that book, and it was called Torn Between Two Lovers. And it was one was Jesus and the other was a man. So it's called Torn Between Two Lovers. And I remember writing that book, sitting on my bed one night crying because of the situation that I was in. But then I ripped it up because I didn't want him to ever find it. And so years later, when I started writing, God had me recall that poem word for word. And it's in the book, The Passion in My Soul, which was my first book. But that book was really about me. It was a healing process for me. And although it was a healing process for me, it was also healing to others. But that wasn't why I initially wrote it, but that was the result of it being written. So that's what inspired me to write the first book. And when I wrote that first book, I really did think that was it, but as I said, then I got into mentoring. And mentoring teenage girls. I had a mentoring program, the Elite Female Mentoring Program in Maryland. I ran for 13 years. And when I first started, these girls were coming to my mentoring sessions with Zane, books. And I'm like, that is so inappropriate. And so God said, well, it would really burn me up. And so God said, stop complaining about it and do something about it. And that was what birthed Behind My Mother's Back, because I said, if you're going to be reading something, I want you to read something that's free of profanity and not sexually suggestive. And so I wrote that book to answer, to do my part in an answer to that problem. This is the last one I'll let you guys see. I have 7 titles. So this is this has a cool story. This is C is for Coco. And this book was birthed out of a trip that I took to Ghana, West Africa, as a part of a global literacy conference. And myself and Caroline Brewer, another lady that was with me on that trip, we created this book with the children from Ghana. And so I don't have a certain genre per se. I write from the space that I am in and when I feel like writing. So I never want to be boxed into any one genre and say, oh, she's a person who writes this or that. I write what I want to write when I want to write it. And so the cool story real quick behind C is for Coco is that we wrote this book. We used the children, all of the photos and stuff in the book were taken from the children in the villages and while we were there on the trip. But the cool thing that happened with that book was not long after its release, the movie Beasts of No Nation that starred Idris Elba, the producers for that movie contacted us and wanted to know if they could use our book in that movie. Like a movie with Idris Elba, came out of nowhere. So if you ever watch the beginning of the movie Beasts of No Nation with Idris Elba, there's a scene in there with a little boy and his mother. He's over her shoulder and they're reading and they're actually reading from our book. So it's our book that was on the coffee table. So cool story, right? So you never know where your writing is going to end up or where it's going to take you. I'm not still able to interact with those kids from Ghana, but we are trying to, and we have been trying to get back there because the whole purpose of us writing that book was to take it back to the village. And we did have some sent back there, but to give it to those kids there so that they could actually see themselves in that work. because they were just so beautiful. I just wanted to pack them all up and bring them home. So, yeah, so that's that. Let's see. What else can I get in there? Thank you, Tamara. I'm sorry if I'm messing up your name. So that was What Fuels Me. Do I have an all-time favorite book? I have several. One from way back when was The Ties That Bind. I can't remember who wrote that, but I love that book. That was a novel. I love the book by Delatoro McNeil, Caught Between a Dream and a Job, because at one point that's where I was stuck, and he taught me how to use my current occupation to tie into what I was doing on the outside with my entrepreneurship. And so it really opened up a whole new perspective for me. And so I love that book. And another book that's quickly becoming one of my favorites is one I'm currently reading. It's called Mind Power into the 21st Century. And so you guys should really read that. It's awesome. Who are my favorite authors? Oh, gosh. You know, I would, well, the authors of these books that I just wrote, but I don't really have like an author that let's see, Kimberly, oh gosh, I'm going to mess up her name. Roby is her last name. Kimberly Lawson Roby, I think. I've read just about all the books in her series up to a certain point, so I do love her. Do you think you would? Yes, I do think I would take another trip like that. And actually, I was just talking to someone about taking a trip to South Africa in August. Someone has invited me to go in August to South Africa this time to work with the kids in the orphanages. So I'm seriously considering that. And so that'll be a whole, you know, life is just this whole big story. And so when there's always something to write about, right? There's always something to write about. And my life takes so many turns and twists. And another fact about me that I don't know, if many of you may not know, is that I picked up my life about a year and a half ago and moved from Maryland to Hawaii. So I now live in Honolulu, Hawaii. So, you know, the things to write about are endless. So that's why I say I go to the beach for a lot of my inspiration, because here the beach is peace. The beach is beautiful, and really helps me to think clearly. So let's see, I have about 4 minutes left. What's the best thing about being a writer? The best thing for me about being a writer is the freedom of expression, and being able to offer another perspective, and then also to help other people do the same thing. Help other people to tell their stories. I have a writer's boot camp that I do, which ties into one of the other questions about literary services that I offer. I have a writer's boot camp that I do that takes a person from concept to creation of their book. And that's one of the things that I really like about being a writer, is that because I stepped out and I had the courage to tell my stories, and you know, then and now, it has opened up a door or a window for other people to say, wow, I can do that too. And so I really, it's really an honor when I get to help someone else birth their dream, which is what happened with the latest release of Threefold Cord Broken. This was the first anthology that I actually was the visionary for. So I'm really, really proud of this. And in it, there were 6 other women that are Christian women who had gone through the journey of divorce, who actually contributed to this work. And for a lot of them, it was the first time that they were writing. So it was pretty incredible. Our book launch was a few weeks ago, and it was just phenomenal. I mean, the room was packed to standing room only, and it was just a great, great experience. That's a big change. How long did it take for you to adapt to your new? Oh man, it took no time at all. Like, Hawaii is absolutely beautiful, and the people here are really nice. So when I tell you, it was the easiest. I mean, the biggest hurdle was in my mind, that whole concept of picking up my entire life, because I lived in Maryland for 40 some years. So it was all I knew, and I had never lived in another state before. So getting here and, you know, navigating and running into beautiful oceans and palm trees and all that stuff, you get used to that real quick. And I love it. I absolutely love it. Oh, great. So I got like another 10 minutes. Yay. Thank you so much. So one of the questions was, do I outline my books when I start writing, or do I just start writing? I just start writing. I don't know. I think this book, The Principles of the Ultimate Business Diva, was probably the only book that I outlined, because it had, it had 6 principles in it, so I had to put those principles in order. And so that was the only book that I ever wrote out of my 7 that I actually wrote an outline for, because there were different principles in here. So this is a really cool book. So I wrote that book because I worked in corporate America for 30 some years. And with all the young women that were coming in, there were so many things that were not being addressed. And, I wanted to offer something about managing conflict and how to not let your emotions cost you a promotion, maintaining control in difficult situations in the workplace, having a winning attitude. So this is a really cool book, The Principles of the Ultimate Business Diva, which came out before A Threefold Cord Broken. So let's see, what else? Advice. Here we go. Advice I would have for aspiring writers. I always tell my bootcamp members, everybody gets so caught up and wants to think into the future. What's my book cover going to look like? Am I going to go with a traditional publisher? Am I going to self-publish? Am I going to create an outline? Am I going to? Everybody wants to jump ahead. But I always tell my authors that I coach, nothing happens until you write. Like, you can't even think about all the other stuff until you put pen to paper, or now is typing, right? Not pen to paper, but you know what I mean. But nothing happens until you write. So the most important thing is for you to start writing, and you don't have to have everything in sequence. If you know everything that's supposed to go in chapter 3 before you finish writing chapters 1 and 2, write chapter 3. Get it all down, and then we can work on pulling it all together and making it make sense later. That's my philosophy. You do not have to write in order. Some people get stuck because they try to do that. So my advice to those of you who may be writing is just go with the flow. Get it all out. That's the most important part, is for you to write. And write, do a lot of writing. And I'm not one of those people who can schedule my writing. Like, I can't say, every day at 3 o'clock is going to be my writing time, because that's just not how my brain flows. I have to write when I have a download and, or a deadline. I work real good under pressure. But, and I've already answered the question of how many books do I have? I have 7. My social media links, everywhere. So on Facebook, of course, you can find me just by my name from this page, Kimmoly K. LaBoo. But on Instagram, Twitter, Pinterest, what else? YouTube is Miss Kimmoly, MSKIMMOLY. So consistent across the board. But I tell anybody, if you really want to find me, all you have to do is know how to spell my first name, because there are not too many Kimmolys in the world. I've only seen one other, and I think she stole my name. Anyway, because my mama made my name up. So KIMMOLY. So if you can spell my name, you can Google me and find me anywhere, because it's really easy if you know how to spell my name. But yeah, so Ms. Kimmoly on all of my social media links. I think I pretty much covered all the questions. I've published 7 books. And like I said, I publish I write what I want to write. So I'm not stuck in any one genre. And it's really given me the freedom to do a lot of things. And it's been a really good experience, a great experience. And like I said, I'm excited about what's next on the horizon that I have coming up for aspiring authors and seasoned authors as well. So like I said, if you want to know more about that, we will be revealing that on March the 1st. So you can connect with me, send me a friend request for my personal page, because that's where that reveal will happen. So do you guys have any more questions for me? Because I think I've answered all of the standard questions. So do you guys have any questions for me that I can answer for you while I'm on live? Because I have a few more minutes left. And I'll think about what else I can tell you. I can tell you a little bit more while I'm waiting. If you have a question, just jump in there though. So a threefold cord broken, what happens when Christian marriages fail. I wrote this book to, like I said, offer another perspective. And being someone who has been had three failed marriages, not just one, but three, which is what's prompted this whole me being the Christian divorce coach thing. But going through that process so many times and having so many women that I know who are either stuck in bad marriages or think somehow that if they get divorced that God is somehow going to hate them or not be able to use their lives, whatever. I wanted to dispel that myth and kind of challenge the negative stigma that's associated with divorce in the faith-based community. So that's what this book is all about. It's for the married woman. It's for the divorced woman. It's for the married man, the divorced man, the single woman. Everybody can get something out of this book. When I published it, it was my hope that it would be used as a tool in ministry for maybe marriage Bible studies, to kind of challenge the fairy tale of marriage. And then also I wanted it to be able to help women see that there is life after divorce. There's definitely life after divorce. I mean, God has used my life in a magnificent way. And I never knew when I was going through those challenges that he would call me to that, and that the divorced woman would be my ministry. But I'm happy about it and I look forward to it. I'm not an advocate of divorce. I'm just an advocate for people to be whole, healthy, and free. So whatever it takes to get there, to be safe, is my goal, for women to be safe and secure. So if you guys have no other questions, that's all I have. I think I've told you as much as I can in this short amount of time about my journey as an author. It's been exciting. I never thought that it would turn into this, but I'm certainly glad and honored that it did, that my life has taken the turn that it has taken, so that I'm able to write and actually help other people to take that journey as well. So again, I am Kimmoly K. LaBoo. I am a Christian divorce coach. I support women of faith who are experiencing divorce, helping to bring clarity and focus to their next steps. I'm a published author, professional speaker, certified life coach, and also a book writing coach. So if you guys have nothing further for me, I thank you for the amen, Ms. Author T. But if you guys have no other questions, you can always, if you think of something after the broadcast is over, of course, you can shoot me questions in the group or on the events page or wherever under this broadcast. And I will certainly stick around to answer those questions for you. If you have questions about publishing, if you have questions about writing, if you have questions about divorce, if you have questions about my coaching programs or any of that, my website is www.christiandivorcecoach.com. And there's also a page on Facebook, the Christian Divorce Coaching Center, and also there is a private Facebook group for women who are walking through the divorce experience and need support. It's called Pressing Through Divorce. So that is a closed page that you have to be accepted into. You have to answer a couple of questions to get into that group. But if that's something, if you know somebody who needs that support or needs that help, please don't hesitate to connect with us on any one of those pages. Ms. Author T, I will inbox you. I most certainly will. As soon as I get off the broadcast. So I thank you guys for tuning in to hear what I had to say about being an author. And thank you again, LaToya, for having me on this broadcast to share with your audience. I am just so honored to be a part of it all. So thank you guys, and I'll talk to you soon. And like I said, I'll stick around to take questions under this broadcast for a while. I thank you guys. Take care, and many, many blessings to you, and be good to yourself always. Bye-bye.